Hey, I'm Molly Tuttle here at the Nonesuch Music Library, and I'm so excited to take you through some of my favorite Nonesuch albums. Alright, so the first record I'm gonna pick is this Sam Amidon Lily O. He reimagines these old folk songs, and so many of the songs on his records are songs that I grew up singing. Like this one has groundhog variations on it, and he takes the songs and totally turns them on their head. I'm obsessed with like the production on all of his albums, and like a lot of these albums, it was really hard to pick just one record by him in the Nonesuch catalog because I love them all, but this one has some of my favorites like Walkin' Boss. Blue Mountains is so pretty. He did this in his Tiny Desk concert, which I highly recommend you check out. And the Groundhog Variations one, like I mentioned before, it's totally demented, so you need to listen to it. It's crazy. I'm a big fan of Sam Amidon. I got to see him a few times when I lived on the East Coast in Boston. I saw him at the historic Club Passim. But he's incredible, just an amazing reimaginer of songs and songwriter himself. So that's the first one I'm going to talk about. All right, the next record I'm going to talk about is this Punch Brothers Antifogmatic. And again, it was so hard to choose just one Punch Brothers record. I remember when I was like 18, 19, I just loved this band so much. I still do, but it was when they were first coming out with records. I got to see them live quite a few times, and super inspiring. This album is one of my favorites, and Rye Whiskey is one that's like my favorite when they play it live. I'm like, yeah, I just love that song. I remember hearing the song Alex for the first time, and Chris Thiele's singing just totally blows me away on that song. But this totally takes me back to, you know, being in my early 20s, late teens, and thinking like, what if maybe someday I could be on Nonesuch Records, because so many of my favorite bands are on this label, and they put out so much great music. This one was produced by John Bryan, who is a producer who I really admire, but the whole record is just super inspiring, especially for acoustic musicians like myself. So here, check it out, Antifogmatic, Punch Brothers. So the next record is this indie rock classic, Wilco, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. I love this album. I Am Trying to Break Your Heart, the first song, Ashes of American Flags. It's just one of my favorite records, and I don't know if I'll be Wow, this is super heavy, but we got the super deluxe edition. Whoa. I'm a huge fan of Wilco and Jeff Tweedy. He's one of my favorite writers, and I just think this is such a cool record. It's like, it has that perfect blend of like amazing songs and also like some weirdness, and there is a certain magic to this album. The lyrics are very deep and profound. So here it is, Wilco, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. All right, next I'm gonna do a newer release. This is Hurray for the Riff, Raff. The Past is Still Alive. I've been a big fan of Hurray for the Riff Raff for a while, since I saw their Tiny Desk, and that's how I get introduced to a lot of bands. But I just love the new music, especially this new record is probably my favorite one. The lyrics just touch on so many like important topics, and they're just really inspiring and profound lyrically. I love the production, and yeah, check it out. I think my favorites are Alibi, I love Snake Plant, and it's just a cool concept for a record as well. I remember, I think last year, maybe it was like when you get your Spotify Wrapped, this was like on my top, maybe my top record, so it's a great one. I wanted to include a record by Lake Street Dive. I love this band, and this one is amazing, Free Yourself Up. And this was another band that just takes me back to like when I was starting out my music career, and I wasn't signed to a label, and I remember just kind of checking out different labels and their rosters and thinking, wow, like all the music I listen to is on Nonesuch Records. Maybe someday I could be on Nonesuch. And then a few years after that, meeting David and the team here and signing with them. Now I'm releasing my third record with Nonesuch, but it's just so cool to go down memory lane and see bands like this, Lake Street Dive. I listened to them so much in college. I remember seeing them at a tiny venue in Berkeley, California, just a couple hundred people at the Freight and Salvage, which is actually a venue I grew up playing, and they were the opening band, and it's just amazing now seeing them playing Madison Square Garden here in New York, but I've been a longtime fan, and they're just absolutely incredible. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. Free Yourself Up by Lake Street Dive. And now we've got Yola, Walk Through Fire. This is Dan Auerbach produced in Nashville, Tennessee. I actually played on a track on this record. I played on a ride out in the country, I believe, and this was such an amazing breakout moment for Yola. I'd known her for a few years, and it was just so cool to see the world kind of embrace her and her amazing voice and her amazing songs. I love that this record just weaves in, it has folk, country, soul, so many genres that she just is such an expert at, kind of, finding her voice within and melding these different styles and what she does. So I'm a big fan of Yola. I love this record. It has some incredible songs. Far Away Look is just the ultimate to me. The melody and her singing on it is incredible. And I remember seeing her play at Newport Folk Fest when this album was released, and that was amazing. But big fan, Yola, Walk Through Fire. Well, I couldn't do a favorite Nonesuch album video without this Emmylou Harris Wrecking Ball. Absolutely pivotal album. I remember studying this in school. They would play it for us at Berklee College of Music and just talk about the production, the songwriting, and Emmylou Harris is just one of my biggest heroes. I've gotten to play music with her in Nashville and meet her, and she's just, I don't know, she just lives up to everything I would hope she would be. And I remember seeing her with my mom when I was a kid, going to see her play, and she's just one of my biggest inspirations, and this is maybe my favorite record by her. I don't know, it's so hard to choose. The production by Daniel Lanois is amazing, and the songs are just amazing. She sounds incredible, but she has so many great records, but this is definitely up there. Wrecking Ball, Emmylou Harris.
Hold on to your aching heart.